Shalom. First, I want to give all praise, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakaha Kadash. Double honors to the apostles, bishops, and elders of Great Millstone, from whom I learned this truth. Shalom to the 144,000 elect. I am Mayakala. And I'm going to do another lesson. It's probably not going to be a very long one. Salakia, my phone kind of stopped there for a minute, so but I'm going to bring out this lesson, and it probably won't be very long. I'm just going to talk a little bit about accountability. The reason that I'm mentioning that is because not that I spend a great deal of time being concerned or being worried about worldly things or being worried about things that are going on at the plantation, but I have been noticing that the time is just speeding up, and it seems like in the society right now everything is changing a great deal, and it seems like people are really holding your feet to the fire and making sure that you're accountable for your actions. We see a lot of things taking place right now. And one thing that I noticed is that these people who are in these positions of authority really don't give a shit about you. They just want to make sure that their position in this world is good, and that they, especially when it comes to the Israelites, are making sure that they stay on you, making sure that you're being held accountable for your actions. And I noticed, particularly in my job, it seems like all of a sudden things are speeding up, and accountability is like the number one thing on those that are in positions of authority. That's the number one thing that they're focusing on, is making sure everybody is being accountable for their time and for their responsibilities at the job. But I'm going to look up the definition of that word accountability. So like I said, this won't be very long. My phone is kind of acting up. It's telling me I don't have a lot of space or storage. I don't know how that's happening, but anyway. And I'm going to look up the word accountable according to Google. Let's see. And it says, the term accountable is an adjective that describes the state of being obligated to explain or justify something, or to be held responsible for actions and their consequences. That's a good word. I want to look up two consequences. It says responsibility and consequences. This being accountable means you are the one answerable for accomplishing a goal or an assignment and facing the potential positive or negative outcomes of your actions. So with accountability, whether you're taking accountability at home or at work or wherever, accountability comes with also suffering the consequences. If you're not being accountable and you're not living up to your obligations, there are consequences behind that. I'm gonna just take a look at that word consequences also, and I just have a few precepts that I'm going to bring out, and then that'll be the end of this. And this is according to Google that I'm looking up consequences. And it says a result or effect of an action or condition. It says consequences, a negative or positive word. Consequences has no negative meaning, though a strongly negative association. When we use consequence colloquially, we typically mean a punishment. We don't often use consequence when we are speaking about what happens when we treat others with kindness or exercise regularly or save more than we spend. So consequences could be negative or positive. So first, the precept that I want to go into, and I'm going to make this real short because my phone is really acting up here. I'm going to go to Matthew chapter 12 and verse 36. And it reads, it says, "But I say unto you that every idle word that men shall speak, they shall give account thereof in the day of judgment. It says, for by their words thou shalt be justified, and by their words thou shalt be condemned." And I want to look up idle. It says idle words. I want to look up what that means here, and I'm going to look according to the blue letter. Let's see, and it is G691, and I'll give you a pronunciation of the word.
Strong's G692, Argos. Argos.
It says Argos. It says free from labor or at leisure, lazy, shunning the labor which one ought to perform. It says inactive, unemployed, barren, idle, or slow. All right. So one of the consequences of being idle or being slow could be unemployment, because you're being accountable and not using the time wisely, or being slothful, being lazy, can bring about that consequence of being unemployed or being laid off just because you're being idle. You're being slothful, not taking care of your responsibility, not be accountable for the responsibilities that you're being given. particular instance, we're looking at being accountable to the Most High for the things that you're doing and the responsibility that you're taking for what you do in that time that you're, let's say that time that you're not at work, or you're not on the plantation. What are you doing for the Lord? What are you doing with the time that you have available to you, where you could be studying, where you could be bringing a lesson out, where you could be helping a brother? That's just idle time if you're being slothful and not doing anything with that time. It's like I said, it seems like things are speeding up, and a lot of times these days are just going by. I know it seems like this month really just started, and here we are. It's just about over. You got about maybe a week or so left in this month. So the time is really just speeding up and going by real fast. And if you're being idle and not being accountable for your time, you're letting time just slip by you, or you're not taking care of the Lord's work. I'm going to go to Matthew chapter 9 and verse 4. It says, and Yahweh knows their thoughts, knowing their thoughts, said, wherefore think ye evil in your hearts? So just going back to idle time, usually when you have idle time, that's when demons have the time to plague you and mess with your mind and put evil thoughts into your mind. And as that verse just reads, Yahweh knows all those thoughts that are coming into your mind. He knows what goes through your mind when you have that idle time, or when you have time where you're not doing your best or doing the work for the Most High. I'm going to go to Luke 5 and 22. Says, but when Yahweh perceived their thoughts, he answering said unto them, what reason ye in your hearts? Whether it be easier to say, thy sins be forgiven thee, or to say, rise up and walk. Salaki, I'm going to read